Hello. In this video, I'm going to explain what the Rho buffer is and how it can be used in compositing. So what I have here on the left, I've got a specular indirect buffer and a specular direct buffer combined into one. And then I've got a debugging node here just to use gamma correction on the combination. On the right, we have the Rho buffer, and what the Rho essentially is the BXDF reflection or transmission function that is being evaluated for each microfacet sample, and it includes the surface color and any Fresnel effects. So if we look at these Buddha statues, this orange one is using the conductor, and that's why it has this conductor Fresnel effect. You can see that it's fading or transitioning into a more gray color at the surfaces pointing away from the viewer. And on the right, we've got a dielectric material, and you can see the dielectric Fresnel and its grayscale. And on the left, we see a principled material with a sort of a rough surface, and that makes the Fresnel effect slightly different from what it would be if the surface were not rough. So what we can do with the Rho in conjunction with these lighting buffers, you can use the indirect and direct separately if you want, but for now we are going to use them merged together into a single buffer. So what I've got here is channel booleans node. It is essentially a mathematics node, and the operation we need to use to process the buffers is divide. So we divide the red foreground and green foreground and blue foreground with the Rho, and the end result looks like this. This is all the specular, like the direct specular and indirect specular in this case, the raw shading color extracted from the indirect and direct buffers, which do include colors in them. So as you can see, the dielectric is now basically pure mirror. The conductor is a softer mirror, and you can see the secondary bounce effect is still the color of the conductor, and this Buddha here is just soft white, and you can see here on the walls you can see the specular highlights reflected as this should. And this is essentially what the BRDF sees before any surface coloring or the microfacet Fresnel effects are being applied to it. I've also got this same network done for diffuse, indirect, and direct, and this is what the diffuse merged buffer looks like. This is what the diffuse Rho looks like. These walls are using the principled material, so you can see a Fresnel effect on the diffuse channel. And when we do the same process, we divide the buffers. We can see that now we have the raw lighting as if the surfaces were white to begin with, apart from the secondary bounce effects, because those are still being retained. You can see the purple wall being affecting the ceiling here. So this is basically raw lighting, and I can show you the diffuse, for example, I can show the diffuse indirect separately, and also the diffuse direct separately, and these are all uh, raw lighting. This is what it would look like if you would render without GI and with pure white surfaces. So we're going to go back to the merge. So what you can then do with these buffers is, for example, I've set up a node flow here where I've got a color correction node on the raw lighting, and I'm going to remultiply the raw color with the row, and its result is going to be this, which is exactly the same as the buffers would be without the row division and multiplication. But what I can do is I can then do things like increase the contrast of the lighting itself, or decrease the contrast of the lighting, essentially making all the lighting now purely white instead of colored, or I can just exaggerate the color. And the surface colors are being retained because of the Rho buffer is being multiplied on top of the raw lighting, like so. You can do all kinds of weird effects using color correction. Even you can even increase the lighting without affecting the surface color itself. You will only see the if we connect only this, we can see that we're only affecting the raw lighting. The same goes here. So we've got the original combined, and we've got the extracted reflections. What I'm doing here is then applying a blur to the raw extracted uh, specular values, like so. And so I can essentially blur the reflections, but still leave keep the surface colors intact. Of course, this is way too much, but you can still see the Fresnel effect and the surface color are coming from the Rho buffer, and that is essentially what you can use the Rho buffer for, is to extract raw lighting and shading ray tracing information out of the direct and indirect buffers. And here we've got the entire thing combined. This is the diffuse is without the row multiplied back in. So I'm going to put that back in, and there you go. Now you can tweak your lighting and reflections and refractions, etc., however you want.